Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is really nice to be online with everyone for our first live chat session as the Agent podcast. And it's really nice to have everyone here. And hopefully, we'll be getting some people coming into the room shortly. But if not, we'll do this all by ourselves one way or the other. It's going to be a blast. So, again, thank you so very much for joining me on this live session. Uh, as it always goes, the Change Agent podcast is proud to support Ukraine and all the things that happen there and all the people who make all the efforts possible to help Ukrainians win and be victorious. And so, with that said, that's going to be the crux of just about everything we do on these particular live sessions. They last about 30 minutes. And this is one, as being the first one, we got a couple of topic ideas of what we're going to be discussing this evening. So it's again going to be just a lot of fun. We'll try to do these as often as possible. I don't know what the set schedule will be, but if you are just joining us, please put in the chat where you are from and where you're listening from, uh, and I'll welcome you as you join. Also, as always, uh, if you have questions and comments about things that you want to listen to in terms of podcast episodes that we ought to be doing, I'm assuming that they would do with Ukraine, and uh, if they are regarding um, activities happening around Ukraine about the European Union or the U.S. support for Ukraine, so that'd be great. Let's see what we got going on here. We can find people in the chat. Um, all right, so far there's nobody in there yet, but we'll see what happens if we can get some more people to join here very shortly. Um, so before we get started, don't forget, I want to hear where you guys are from. If you are catching this on a recorded line, like if you're looking at this after it's been published and this live is over, just put in the comments down on YouTube or in LinkedIn where you watch this from. Also, put down some of the topic ideas you would like to have us talk about, things that are important to you surrounding Ukraine. Maybe put a shout out to somebody you know that's really doing a good job helping Ukrainians, either inside or outside of Ukraine, and we'll get in touch with them about getting them on the show. So, a quick bit about why we do this. This Change Agent podcast is not something that's been happening for a very long time, about a year or more, just a little bit over a year maybe. And we have a particular mission that we try to uh, make sure that we are engaged in, that we're keeping aligned to that particular mission set. And that is the impact for Ukraine and amplifying Ukrainian voices. Um, you might see on the logo, listen, learn, and lead. That was the initial aspect of the mission statement, if you will, that people would listen, they would learn something, and then they'd go out there and make a difference, which is, of course, leadership. But that didn't, uh, it didn't change, but it was not holistically towards Ukraine initially when we first made it. But now we are definitely doing those types of things, listening, learning, and leading. And so our mission as a podcast is simply to amplify the voices of Ukraine, whether it's those that are working inside Ukraine or those working outside of it, anyone making an impact into the way that Ukraine operates. And we'll get into it in a few minutes. I've got a few bits that I want to talk about past guests that we've had where we've had them on the show and the impacts that they made. And so it's really going to be good for you to listen to some of the prominent Ukrainians and powerful people that we've had on the show who have been making big strides and impacts to supporting Ukrainian people, the soldiers, and their victory on the battlefield and off the battlefield. Um, so, a little bit about me. I want to kind of go into that for a second because some people may be asking themselves, who in the world is this Eric guy? So, of course, my name is Eric, and I am the host of the Change Agent podcast. And I'm very excited to be with you on this episode live and on all other ones that are pre recorded. And there's a lot of work goes into that. And if you're interested in how that works, um, pop it a question in the chat. How do you do this stuff? Maybe you are listening to our podcast, or maybe you're here because you want to see how these things run, and you want to know how I make it work. Very novice like. Let me tell you that. I have a lot of things that go on in the background, but I'd be happy to share with you how these things happen. But there's a lot of work. Um, so about me, I'm Eric. I have a few master's degrees in intelligence operations and studies. from an American university. I am an American, of course, stationed, located in the United Kingdom at the moment because my wife is stationed in the United Kingdom. Um, I have a military background of Army guy, did a lot of combat tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, both as a U.S. soldier and as a U.S. defense contractor. So there were several years between 2007, not to show my age, but 2007 and 2013 is when I was actively deployed to one of those locations almost constantly. So there was a lot of combat zone time for me. And uh, I started building programs and running programs after the Army and after those tours in Afghanistan for a defense contractor that ranged anywhere between 69 and $499 million. And then we moved to the UK. Long story short, we moved to the UK, and now I'm doing this. And I have a normal job as well, so I do that. But on the free time that I have when I'm not doing other things with the children or family, I'm doing this, and it's really passionate for me. Um, the reason why all of this happens, though, is because I have a personal tie to it. My wife is Ukrainian born, who's now a U.S. citizen serving in the active U.S. Air Force. Excuse me. I have family members who fled Ukraine right after the February full scale invasion of Ukraine. They fled from Kiev down to Odessa and down from Odessa on into other places. And now they're safe, but they're not at home and they see what's happening there. And this is important to them and it's important to me. And so that's why we decided to build this podcast. Um, it's really a grateful thing that I would like to shout out to my sister-in-law for encouraging me to do this type of work. This is something that's I don't know that I saw coming down the road, but for sure, it is one of those things that I'm so glad that I did. It's really interesting and really important work, and we're making a big difference. We're having a lot of impact in Ukraine. We have a lot of people telling me uh, on pre-recording episodes that we are making an impact. They hear us and that they are watching us, and we are doing good things for everyone in Ukraine. And so it's really important to me to hear that feedback because I know that what we're doing matters, and everybody who supports the podcast um, is a part of that. So uh, I want to talk a little bit about some of the past guests because none of this stuff would be possible without the ability for us to have these past guests on the show. Past guests that we've had have been really prominent Ukrainians and non-Ukrainians. They were people that were supporting Ukraine from afar, and I'll get into those in just a few minutes. But you have to understand, like the ability to having the interest in supporting a particular effort or mission or uh, an interest or whatever it is, a movement doesn't do a whole lot if you don't have partnerships and you're not able to try to get people who are experts and who are actually living those experiences into your space. And so for us, especially for me, I put a lot of work into making network connections and talking to people about why uh, this this topic is important to us and why we want to have these specific types of people on the show. And so it's almost a constant bit of research, networking, validating, inviting, having pre-recording session interviews to make sure that we have a connection and that we're able to talk about the stories that matter most. And we try to provide this platform for those people to tell their stories. It's not for us or for me to amplify what I think. I have my opinions and I say them, but it's really the platform for everyone else to come on board and give us the message and say the message to the people that are listening and watching on how they can support Ukraine and what really awesome things are happening in the background. Because I'll tell you that what you see in the news is only part of it. There's so much more happening behind the scenes in the quietness, in the dark, where people are just not getting those stories. And outside of becoming the fine line of journalism, we try to do the reality on the ground and try to be a bit more open and transparent. So some of our past guests, you might be asking yourself, if you've watched any of the videos on YouTube, you can run over there and check it out after this live session is over with. But we've had some really prominent ones on the show, and I'm really surprised at just how impactful these people are, and that they agreed to come on to the podcast. And so that must say that if we're able to get individuals of these calibers, and I'm going to go over them in just a second, onto the show, uh, then it must say that we're doing something right. And it does. That's a real testament to the people that we have on the show. But not only that, also the people who are encouraging me to show where to not do this because it's so much. And her organization researches, tracks, does all things with human rights, crimes against humanity, working with the International Criminal Court to try to bring justice for those people who have been murdered, taken, or any other crimes against humanity that are happening inside Ukraine. She is the first, her organization, the Civil Center for Civil Liberties, is the first one to ever get the Nobel Peace Prize for a Ukrainian organization. And she documents like crazy. This organization documents like crazy all of the occurrences of crimes and human rights abuses throughout Ukraine. One of the things that was so powerful about the interview that I had with her, um, which was basically everything, but there was a moment where there was a 5-year-old little girl um, who just came to her and was asking her for help. And she had said, well, who am I? What am I supposed to do for you? I want to do things for you, but what am I supposed to do? But it was obvious that this little girl knew who exactly she was. And it was really important to see the impact that Alexandra and her organization is making on this show. So if you want to learn more about her, you can go find her on LinkedIn or go to the Center for Civil Liberties on the web. And we'll put some links in here so you can visit that. But she's a well known, very powerful individual. And above all things, we are more than grateful to have been able to have her on the show and talking with us about these things. Next, I want to talk about Amber French Griette. She runs the Organization for Nonviolent Movements. Now, this is a really important one. She's in Paris. She's a Franco American. And she runs a very important organization, as I mentioned, ONM, Organization for Nonviolent Movements, uh, which is really focused on not anything particularly new, but something very powerful that many people forget about. And this is the fact that nonviolent resistance, I'm reading a little cue card over here, um, succeed roughly twice as often as the armed ones do. And she's helped Ukrainian civilians organize their own civic activities around that idea. You can see the power of civic resistance and civic action just in the recent turmoil, I'll call it, in the Ukrainian government when President Zelensky released Fedorov, the defense minister, and his staff, and the uproar that came out of that because he had done so much in so little time for the victory of Ukrainians on the battlefield, especially not just in terms of technologies that were being deployed to the battlefield, but also in terms of um, the types of contracting mechanisms that were being used or they wanted to have used, which were more competitive and transparent rather than a good buddy of mine has a contract for you and you'll get the contract. And so that particular type of thing that happened afterwards, the civic action, is what turned President Zelensky to one, remove an individual that people wanted to have removed, Sirski, uh, and to redesign the way things were acquired and put Fedorov back in place. And I don't know at this moment if anything has happened with Fedorov. I know he's been offered a few positions, and I'm not sure that he's accepted any of them, but I'm sure that he's now being involved again in the government in the way that it does, whether it's through consultation or other things. So Amber French Griette, Organization for Nonviolent Movements, really powerful interview. When we were talking, uh, it was just insane the amount of statistics that were there surrounding all of the work that she does and those types of uh, things that are happening as a result of the work that she's been doing. And so, if you're interested in that conversation to understand how powerful civic action can be, please go look at that video that's on YouTube under Amber French Griette uh, for nonviolent movements. Next, I want to talk about Miriam Lambert. the some estimates where those people have been taken, and she brings those home, and she brings those kids home, and she works with so many different other groups and organizations to help them get repatriated and reintegrated into their home, into their lives. In one session that we talked about in our interview, she talked about a girl who was taken. She was a ballet, doing ballet a lot before she was taken. She got pulled out of Ukraine by Russia. She was given new passport, new identities, told to speak Russian, basically brainwashed and tried to and made to forget about her home in Ukraine. When she was returned back to Ukraine and repatriated, the Emil Foundation was working with her and her parents to try to make the relationship reconnect. And it was frustrating because there were so many different aspects of being repatriated that they didn't expect. How could this be my home? The children had really forgotten about their family. The Russians did really brainwash her into believing that she didn't have a Ukrainian family. And then it was during a small event that turned that child's memory around and said, "Oh, I am Ukrainian. You are my mom. This is what happened." And that particular uh, portion of the interview was really powerful because it tells you just how powerful the small moments in life can be. And so go check that out in the Marion Lambert uh, Emil Foundation interview that we have on YouTube as well. That was really powerful. Their work is amazing. They have lots of people that are supporting them both inside and outside of Ukraine. She attends several different events constantly, always traveling. And so that organization is very busy. And so I invite you to go check out that video and support the Emil Foundation any way that you possibly can. Next, I want to talk about Artem Mazur because he runs the Kids of Ukraine nonprofit, and they are also supporting children and families of those impacted by the war in Ukraine, both military and non-military, the families and the children. And obviously, when you have tons of children that have trauma from this war, whether it be from bombings and ballistic missiles, or it's from the family dynamics or losing a parent or whatever it may be, Kids of Ukraine works really hard. And Artem Mazur and his staff have really done a knockout job. They've got some really cool programs that really help these children reconnect with themselves and understand that life has hope. One way that they do this, and we were talking about this in the interview, is that they take them it's a program called the CT program, and they take them on this program, and it's out in the Carpathians, and they get them away from the environments that these individuals are attached to, in which the trauma might be exacerbated, and they put them in these environments like the Carpathians, where you have nature and you're walking on your bare feet, and you have others that are just like you in the same spaces, with coaches and other group members that are helping you find your way. And just recently, he made a post that was showing this completion of this last program that they had, this last cohort. And it's amazing to me the smiles on the faces, the quotes that these kids give when they say, "I felt like me again," or "It was the best few weeks," or however long it is of my life. Um, I haven't laughed in a while. I love music again. I feel like I'm alive again. And so there are lots of different quotes that are just really powerful that just show how much work and how much effort goes in to what they're doing and how impactful Kids of Ukraine is as an organization to those who have been impacted by trauma. And so go out to the YouTube video as always. I'll say it again and take a listen to Artem's interview, Kids of Ukraine. And this is really helping to rebuild Ukraine's generations, because the thing about that interview that got me so much was that he's working to empower Ukraine's next generation. And it's also you need to understand that all of the work that these individuals do, and I've got one more guest I want to talk about, but all of the work that these individuals do, they it's not something that's going to end when the war is over. It will continue 20, 30 years after that. So it's really important that you understand that these individuals are doing it for the long term. And so it's really important for that, for everyone to uh, support them as much as possible. My last guest is not even here yet. comes out on Monday at 2 p.m. London time. And this individual is a Ukrainian military officer in the separate presidential brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. He's an officer. His name is Bohdan Konotop. And Bohdan is a logistics supply slash technologies officer, finding ways to get new innovative technologies to the hands of the warfighters so that they can make things happen. We have a very interesting conversation about all of those topics. I will say it is the first time that we have ever had an interview on this podcast where I spoke entirely in English and he spoke in Ukrainian. And so thank goodness for YouTube's audio that you can put in Ukrainian or translations in the captions into Ukrainian so that we can all hear that. But I believe I'm also going to be putting out a full Ukrainian version where both of us are in Ukrainian and a full English version where both of us are in English. But that might take some time. So I haven't done that before. And I'm sure the AI can help, but that will just eat up a ton of credits. But Bohdan is really, really a fantastic individual. His story is all about supporting Ukraine, of course, but it's also about how many challenges they face on the battlefield, trying to get the things that are out there um, stabilized, how they can continue the supply lines, how they can continue getting Starlink technologies and weapons and just general supplies out to the warfighter. Um, and then not only that, the most important asset of the Ukrainian military are the people. And so while you have technology advancements in drone technology, or you have advancements in weapons, or you have advances in autonomous vehicles, which is what something we talked about, the individuals who make that happen are the most precious asset. And so you may have some of these individuals that are willing to go out there, but they don't have the equipment, or you may have the equipment and you don't have the individuals. And so there's a conundrum there that he talks about. Very powerful interview. I really enjoyed having him, and I'm hope that we'll be able to get him back again. But it is our first time having a Ukrainian military officer on our show from Ukraine. And the most powerful bit about that, and I'm not sure that you'll hear it in the video, but the last 20 minutes of our conversation, there were uh, incoming missile aerial bomb alerts, the sirens going off. And I couldn't help but just think about how calm he is right now and why he didn't get off the podcast and interview and go to a shelter. But, as I've heard other Ukrainians say, what are we supposed to do? You know, we can't just give up. We also had Olga Rudneva, who is the CEO of Superhumans, and her organization helps those that have been impacted by the war physically and creates prosthetics and does therapy for all of them. There are, that's a really big organization. Several different places around Ukraine. Just the Kids of Ukraine has 4 locations. She has as many, if not more. And Olga was talking about how we don't have time to sit around and think about whether or not we can do anything about it, or that we will or won't do anything about this war, what our parts will be. We have to do something. What are we supposed to do? And so it's just really important that we remember how many sacrifices these people are making, how the people are coming together and driving action, because that's really what it's about, right? I mean, we talk about the government being uh, an enabler for action in Ukraine, for helping them, but in reality, it's the people that matter, and that's why I think something like Amber's interview was really powerful to me, because the people is where it really comes in, and that's where people get together and make things happen. So I would have an open mic. I would have an open mic moment, but apparently there's no one in the chat and no one online. Where are you people? Um, it's always good. We'll get more, and maybe Saturday night, 5 o'clock is not a great time. People are maybe out to dinner doing their thing, so maybe we'll do the next one on a Wednesday when you guys work. But anyway, it's really good for me to practice doing these, because this is what it's for. Um, if you really want to help us out, I really implore you to go to our YouTube channel and find the Change Agent podcast, and make sure you like the videos and you subscribe to them and put that bell notification on, because it's really important that we get as many people around our community as possible. You can also interact with us on LinkedIn, and you can also catch us on Patreon. On LinkedIn, we put in, we do several different things. We do, of course, these live broadcasts, but we also do a newsletter. So you might want to go subscribe to that newsletter. And then on Patreon, all the money that that is donated to that. There are rewards for how much you donate and become a member. You get shout outs and all kinds of cool stuff. But it also, you need to know that that stuff goes to this show, helping me keep it going and paying for some of this equipment. This has been going on for a year. It's self-funded out of my pocket. I have no revenue of this show coming in, so and I don't want it from anyone unless you really care about the mission. So, nope, that's not wine. That's cranberry juice. Anyway, it's running on 30 minutes here very shortly, and now I told you guys that was going to be the limit of our podcast live session. Looking forward to seeing you guys. You drop comments in both YouTube and in LinkedIn. And if for any reason you ever want another one to come out sooner than what I've said, another one will come out. If you want to do one every week, please let me know. If it's just one of you, we'll do a live session. It'll be just chatting. I'll even bring you into the studio and we'll have a webinar going on. If you have a specific topic you want me to talk about in the live sessions, or a podcast that you want me to do a full interview for an hour, and you have an individual that you think will be worthy on the show that supports Ukraine, is Ukrainian, or supporting Ukraine outside of Ukraine, whatever the cases are, as long as Ukraine's the focus of that, please let me know who they are. Make an introduction. You can find my contact information on the website, and let me throw that onto our screen right now. So this is www.thechangeagent.studio. You can go down there. You can also find us on YouTube right here. And you can also find us on Apple Podcasts. And again, I'm Eric from the Change Agent Podcast. I want to thank you guys for joining me, for the whole 0 of you that there are. And we'll do good. We'll do good. I think this will be a lot of fun when we get more people. It's fun for me to just talk about it and give you guys some insight into what's going on. Again, if you have any topics, let me know. And until then, we're signing off here from the Change Agent Podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and Slava Ukraini.